This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 2 in the National Football League. New England Patriots at the New Orleans Saints. Both teams coming into the game at 0-1. I just got one question for you. If you're any type of football fan, if you've been following this league for any amount of time, who didn't see this coming? I mean, seriously, all the pundits said the same thing. A lot of the fans that I talked to out there said the same thing. I said the same thing. First and foremost, the Patriots don't lose 2 in a row. That's number one. Number two, when's the last time the Patriots started the season 0-2? They may lose the first game of the season. It's happened before under Brady and Belichick. It's not uncommon. It's not something that happens often, but it happens. But when's the last time they went to 0-2? Show me that stat. Bottom line is, who didn't expect with 10 days off between the Thursday night contest to open the season and their week 2 matchup that they weren't going to come out and expose the Saints defense for what they are? A group that's very young, that's still learning how to mesh and gel together and frankly, still struggling to get consistent pressure on the quarterback. Who didn't expect, and I don't care that they only had 3 receivers dressed in this game. I told you last week, I said, look, it's Brady, it's Belichick, they'll figure it out. And I told you one of the adjustments that was going to come was that they were going to rely more on the tight end position. You saw what Gronk did. We're going to talk about him and that injury and the potential that could really hinder them offensively moving forward. And I told you the backs were going to be bigger in this offense. And early in this game, that's exactly what the Patriots did. We're going to get to all of that in a second. But first, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2017 and beyond. Changing the game over here. I want you to simply hit that subscribe button and help us do that and become a member of the Louie T Network. Also, I'm on Twitter at @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Go ahead, give me a follow there. If you're watching this live and want to comment, use the hashtag #LouieTLive. I'll read your comment at the end of this breakdown. Let's get to the Patriots, who were able to get the win here, 36-20. Dominant first half. Hell, dominant first quarter. Really put 20 points on the scoreboard. If not for a Gostowski missed extra point, it would have been 21 points in the first quarter for this Patriots offense. And you had to know that this was coming. You had to know that Brady, Belichick, and company were going to come out firing on all cylinders, and Brady was special, especially early in this ball game. The touchdown pass to Gronk, where he eludes a little bit of pressure and then has to sort of throw an off-balance jump pass sort of off his back foot to Gronk and flings it 30 yards down the field. Gronk then does Gronk things and stiff arms a guy, breaks a tackle, gets into the end zone, and it was the Patriots being the Patriots. You saw Brady come out razor sharp early, finding Burkhead early and often, including the first touchdown of the game to get the scoring going for the Patriots. You knew the running backs were going to be a bigger part of the offense. They only dressed 3 wide receivers because of the injuries. We all know about the Edelman injury. He's done for the season. Amendola wasn't able to go because of the concussion. He was out in this game. So you're looking at a wide receiving core that features Hogan, Cooks, who returned to New Orleans for the first time since the trade, and newly acquired Philip Dorsett from the Indianapolis Colts, who the Patriots also traded for recently. So you're talking about a young wide receiver core that hasn't really had a ton of time to mesh with Brady yet. You knew they were going to get the job done. You had Allen at tight end. You had Gronk at tight end. You had your full complement of running backs, Burkhead, Gillislee, and of course, White and company. Dion Lewis still on the roster. So there's a number of guys that can help you in the backfield, and you knew the Patriots were going to take advantage of that. And if you look at Brady's numbers, you expected Brady to be razor sharp and come out and really shred this Saints defense that hasn't shown the ability to stop good offenses around this league. Brady 30 of 39 for over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, and like I said, they were outstanding early in this game, really putting the Saints on their heels. Saints did battle back Drew Brees and company did wrestle some of the momentum away, but it was short-lived. Brady and company did what they needed to do offensively. I thought they were outstanding. And this is what you're going to see until they can get healthy enough to spread teams out. This is what you're going to see. You're going to see a steady diet of them running the football, 2 tight end sets. You're going to see running back split out like Matt Devlin split out wide to take. And again, that's going to give Brady a heads up on what the coverage is. If a corner bumps out, okay, I know it's zone coverage. If there's a linebacker out there with him, okay, it's man-to-man. So now I know I have a matchup with one of these running backs out of the backfield that I like, or with Gronk that I like over the middle of the field, that I can win one-on-one and get the football to one of my playmakers. And so they're going to do that to help Brady understand what coverages are coming his way. And they're going to use guys like Devlin as a decoy because they don't really have that many options. And it's going to be a tell as to what's going on. It was a tell all day long. Brady would split Devlin all the way out wide, and there would be a corner with him. Okay, I know it's zone coverage. I know where I need to go with the football on this particular play. And so that's what the Patriots are going to do. They're going to outsmart the other team. That's what they've made a habit doing over the years. That's not going to change because they got dominated in one contest this year. I knew they were going to come out, make adjustments, and get it done on the road versus New Orleans, and that's what they did offensively. Gillislee continues to be a good quality runner of the football for them early in this season. Remember, 3 touchdowns last week in the loss versus Kansas City, another rushing touchdown in this game. And so he seems to be the guy that's going to get the bulk of the touches on the ground for this offense. He runs hard. He runs low to the ground. He runs physical. I think that's why the Patriots liked him. Of course, he also offers you the ability to catch it out of the backfield. But I think they like his ability to run tough in between the tackles, but also have the speed to hit the home run when that comes available. And so he's going to be the guy in the backfield that gets the majority of the touches on the ground. But they've also got other guys that they like Burkhead and James White, the hero of the Super Bowl from a season ago. So they're going to use those running backs. They're going to use the tight ends, and they're going to sprinkle in the receivers. You're going to see Cooks, Hogan, who did leave this game with an injury. That's another concern for this team. Dorsett, who's starting to come along. They did some things with him, some reverses and jet sweeps and things to get him the football. Then he had a nice catch down the field, but he did injure himself in this game as well. So Patriots are the walking wounded right now. We're going to see what the actual body count is and what the toll is from this game, because Gronk left with an injury, did not return. We're thinking it's his back. We heard it was his groin. We don't know. Just know that he didn't return, and that's not a good sign for him. Dorsett left the game with an injury. Don't know the severity of that. Hogan left the game, did return, but he was obviously limping. Don't know what was the situation with him. But again, you can't afford another injury at the receiver position. Hell, you can't even afford for Gronk not to be healthy right now, because this team is really dependent on him. He had a huge game. He looked like the Gronk of old, separating at the stem of his route with a little bit of a nudge, but more of that just raw physical size that just hard to get around, and Brady put the football right on him. He was outstanding in this game. They're going to need him to stay healthy. So we need to see what these injuries are. Like I said, starting to become a mass unit out there in New England, and they're getting really thin at the skill positions. We'll see the damage after it is all said and done from this game and see if they'll be healthy. Hopefully you get Amendola back from the concussion next week, so that will take a little bit of the pressure off of some of these other guys that are dealing with some injuries. We'll see what happens, but nonetheless, it's Tom Brady, and this is what Brady does. He was outstanding in this game, 30 of 39, over 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, helped the Patriots run up the score 36-20 on this New Orleans Saints defense. You go to the defensive side of the football. I thought that the Patriots were okay defensively. They're not going to scare anyone defensively this year. They went out and drafted Derek Rivers because they knew they needed someone to get after the quarterback. I still think they're lacking a true presence getting to the quarterback. I'll tell you, someone has been a pleasant surprise for them, a guy that I was not that impressed with when they drafted him out of Arkansas. Dietrich Wise Jr. has stepped up for this Patriots team. Very long defender. You could see that on tape. Long legs, long arms. A guy that is doing a really good job of getting into the backfield, disrupting plays, whether it be on the ground in the run game or getting after the quarterback. He had another sack in this game. And so he's a guy that I think they like in some situations and some different packages to get him on the field and get him some opportunities. But the secondary is going to be the strength of this team. That's where they're the most strongest. And if they can't get pressure, some of those guys in that secondary can be vulnerable at times. But if the pressure in the front half is going to help the back half, this is a secondary that's as talented as Bill Belichick has had in quite some time. So they're going to be fine from that standpoint. It's what are they going to do up front in the front seven. How good are they going to be there? Can they stop the run consistently? We saw last week they struggled. I thought they struggled at times in this game, but for the most part, they were down so quickly where the Saints in this game, the ground game became inconsequential and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. But how do they stop the run? Can they get pressure on third downs without having to blitz and send the house and put more pressure on this talented secondary? Well, we'll see, but they got it done against Drew Brees and a talented offense. But know this, the Saints are still trying to find their footing and traction offensively. There's a lot of timing things that aren't right with that offense. Guys aren't making plays. I'll tell you, there's a guy, Jones. I think they said his name was Jonathan Jones or something like that. Number 31. I thought he was outstanding. He broke up 2 big passes in this game, and he's another guy, and the Patriots always seem to find these corners, much like they did with the Super Bowl hero a couple of years ago in Malcolm Butler. They find these guys out of nowhere, and this Jonathan Jones guy seems to be another cornerback in the long line of corners that they seem to unearth in New England, a la Asante Samuel. So we're going to find out if these guys can hold up in the back end. I think they can. I think they've got enough talent back there to get the job done. Up front is where I have questions, but they got it done in this game, and they helped this Patriots team put this game away. And this is more along the lines of what they want to do. Matt Patricia and company at one point in the fourth quarter had only surrendered 290 yards of offense. Remember last week against Kansas City, there was an explosion offensively, over 500 yards given up. That is not what this Patriots team is about. And of course, the 42 points, far cry from where they were a season ago. This is more along the lines of where they want to be. 20 points given up against a Saints offense that we know has Drew Brees and can get it done, but they're struggling in their own right, and the Patriots did not allow them to get going against their defensive unit. So I thought that was a good thing for the Patriots in this football game as well. As you go to the Saints side of things, you start on the offensive side of football because that's where you're going to have to win football games. This defense still isn't good enough. It's a young defense with a lot of talent, and I think that if they can find a way to mesh and gel together, Kenny Vaccaro has to stop getting beat, and he got benched in this game, and I don't know if that's a permanent benching or not. We'll talk about that when we get to the defensive side of the football. Bottom line is this offense isn't in sync. You got 3 backs, and I don't know if Sean Payton knows how to divvy up the amount of touches for all of these backs. I don't feel like there's a rhythm offensively with these receivers right now. Kobe Fleener continues to be a disappointment for me at the tight end position. Hasn't been a great trade-off for him into this offense from Jimmy Graham or even Benjamin Watson when he was here for a year. I think that they're still struggling at the tight end position. Ted Ginn Jr., he's solid, but again, he's not a guy you want to feature. He's getting the football way too much for my liking. Brandon Coleman is another guy that's getting a lot of touches and targets. Michael Thomas is trying his best to be a number 1 wide receiver, but there's just not enough. They truly miss Willie Snead on the offensive side of football, and until he is back in the lineup, I think they're going to continue to struggle because they don't have a guy that wins consistently on third down. That's what Willie Snead's role has been for this Saints offense. And Drew's always had that guy that he trusts on third downs. Once upon a time, it was Lance Moore and it was Colston. Now it's been Willie Snead. He hasn't been in the lineup this year thus far. And I think they're really struggling right now because they don't have a guy that he can consistently get the football to on third downs and win. And so right now, you're just seeing an offense that can't sustain itself. For me, I don't feel like there's a constant rhythm with this offense. The receivers aren't making plays. I don't love what I see. The offensive line, of course, struggling with injuries. Andrews Peat was at left tackle, and I thought he struggled at times in this game, and they're moving parts around. He's not even supposed to be at tackle. He's supposed to be at left guard, not left tackle, and they move Ramczyk back to right tackle where you drafted him to play. It's a mess right now for the Saints, and it's something that I think isn't allowing them to get the kind of continuity that they're looking for offensively, and you're seeing the byproduct of that, them struggling to consistently put forth drives and move the football and put up points. More importantly, Will Lutz missed a field goal. Again, can't have that when you're trying to go up against Brady. I didn't love the decision to not kick the field goal early in the game. It's too early. I know it's Brady and company, and they're going to score points, but you got to take the points and give your team a chance there unless you know you're going to get in the end zone. It wasn't a bad play call. Peyton said he loved the play call they had. It's lined up. Breeze had him. Just was a bad throw in my mind. And so in any event, I just feel like right now the Saints aren't where they need to be for this team to have success. Again, the defense isn't good enough to carry this team. You knew before the season started, offense going to have to put up 27 or better for us to have a chance. They haven't done that this year, and that's why this team right now is sitting at 0-2, another slow start for the Saints to a season. As we get to the defensive side of the football, like I've mentioned numerous times, young defense, you expect them to struggle. The safety position has been a little bit of a problem for them. Kenny Vaccaro in particular making mistakes. He made another mistake here on a cover 3 in some situations where he's just not doing his job adequately enough. And I think they've seen enough, and they ended up going to the second-year man out of Ohio State in this game, Bell. And I don't know if that's a permanent move or not, but Vaccaro has struggled to start this season, and this Saints defense as a whole has struggled to start this season off. They're struggling at the cornerback position. They're struggling at linebacker to cover backs out of the backfield. And they're struggling to cover tight ends. You saw Rudolph get off last week. You saw Gronk get off in this game. You saw the receivers last week for the Vikings get off. You see the little bit of receivers that the Patriots have get off in this game. And I know it's Tom Brady, but last week it was Sam Bradford. So there's no excuse. Bottom line is they don't get enough pressure. The only guy up front that scares you right now is your defensive lineman. His name escapes me, 94. You know who I'm talking about. He's a beast. He's a one-man wrecking crew. And Jordan, I feel so bad for him because he's doing all that he can. It was nice to see Kikaha get in the backfield, get a sack on Brady after beating their left tackle. But those plays are so far and few between that it's just frustrating because they're not generating enough pressure. That secondary isn't good enough to hold up for 6. And really, no secondary should be asked to hold up for 6 seconds, but 4, 5 seconds. They're not good enough to hold up for 4 or 5 seconds. They're a secondary that needs pressure, that is relying on that front seven to generate something because they're not good enough to hold up on that back end. Lattimore looks like he's the real deal, but again, they're going after other guys on this defense and having too much success against this Saints defense. And I thought that the run game for the Patriots was okay. It wasn't great, but bottom line is you're getting gassed through the air. And basically what's new with the Saints? This is what teams do to the Saints. The last couple of years, you've had trouble stopping teams in the air and on the ground. At least the ground game doesn't seem as bad. But hell, you gave up a buck, damn near $130 to Dalvin Cook last weekend. So the Patriots didn't make a concerted effort to run it in this particular game, but they threw it a hell of a lot, and Brady had success, had his way with this football team. And you had opportunities in this game to force some turnovers, dropped a couple of interceptions. You got to make plays. In the red zone, one of your linebackers had a chance on a little stop route to the tight end to make a play on the football, drop that interception. Couple of interceptions that you had early to start the second half were called back due to penalties. If you want to beat the Patriots, you got to take advantage of those opportunities. Brady gave you a couple of opportunities. Obviously, the first interception, 12 men on the field, Brady knew it. That's why he threw it up for grabs. But the second interception that was made, you can't have a penalty there to negate that interception. And so you get an opportunity to still nullify that drive with another interception, and your linebacker drops it inside the 10-yard line. Those are the types of mistakes you can't have if you want to beat Brady and company, and you simply didn't get it done on the defensive side of the football. And that's going to be a Achilles heel for this team all season long. Their defense just isn't ready to carry this football team, and the offense isn't doing a ton either. And so you're really at a crossroads with this Saints football team at 0-2. A big game versus the Panthers next week on the road. If you go to 0-3, this thing could fall apart at the seams for this Saints football team in this very young season. And really, you don't have anything to stand on. The defense isn't great. The offense doesn't seem to be dynamic right now. And there are a lot of questions, not enough answers right now in New Orleans for this Saints football team as they lose this football game 36-20 to the New England Patriots. Once again, who did not see this coming? Everyone knew that after they got embarrassed on Thursday Night Football, at home nonetheless, versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the Patriots were going to come out guns a-blazing and put up a ton of points. They did exactly that. 20 of them in the first quarter, jumped all over this Saints football team, never looked back in this game, and they win 36-20. Let's get to a couple of your comments, if there are any comments out there to be had, and see what is going on. All right. See. Who Dat Chubbs 504 says, we knew they were going to kick our ass. You would think after 4 or 5 years, our defense would get a little better. Sean Payton's seat is on fire, bro. Absolutely well said. I couldn't have said it any better. The defense continues to struggle. This has been a problem for at least the last 5 years strong. And Sean Payton is definitely done after this year. In my mind, this team is going to struggle this year. I told you I thought this was a 7-9 team before the season started. And I don't think that anything's changed. I didn't expect you to win the first 2 games of the season anyway. I expected you to start 0-2. You're going to probably lose to Carolina, start the season 0-3. I don't think that changes the fact that you can still probably get to 6-10, 7-9. But Sean Payton is done. And I don't think he was going to come back after the season anyway. I thought it was going to be a clean break. Breeze is going to be gone. I think in my mind, they're going to try to just start over from scratch. I think Peyton's going to be gone, and I think this team's just going to start over, and it's going to be a long rebuilding process for them because you still don't know who the quarterback of the future is going to be if Breeze, in fact, is not back after this season. But I think Sean Payton will be gone. I don't think they're going to fire him during the season unless the thing just absolutely unravels and the players quit on him and you're getting blown out 40-10 by a team you have no business getting blown out by. Then maybe you may see a change come in season, but I don't see Loomis and company doing that. See them standing pat and just waiting to the end of the season to make a move. But nonetheless, see now, right? And with that being said, let's get out of here. Second half of football, Redskins, Rams, Cowboys, that game got delayed. And so that game's going to run into the Sunday night game. So hopefully we get some extra coverage. We probably won't of that game. You'll just have to keep tabs on that game off on the side. In any event, though, Raiders and Jets, Chargers, a lot of 4 o'clock games in this particular week. There are 5 games on. You rarely get 5. It's normally around 3, 4 at the most. We got 5. So a lot of football going on right now. Some of those games heading to the 4th quarter. And so we've got a lot of football to look at. I'll be back for the R3, breaking down that Redskins game, and then we'll prepare ourselves for Sunday night football. I'll see you guys a little bit later. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on the Louie T Network. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. Patriots get in the win column 36-20 over the Saints, who dropped to 0-2 on the season and didn't look that impressive in doing so. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.